Hey guys, tonight we're going to embark on a quiet journey, a gentle drift through some ancient ideas that might just surprise you with their modern relevance. We're going to explore how two seemingly disparate paths, the grounded wisdom of Stoicism and the profound cycles of Samsara, can weave together, offering a unique perspective on navigating the ever-shifting currents of existence. You might even find yourself pondering if your latest online shopping spree was truly an act of freedom or just another spin on the cosmic hamster wheel. Honestly, after everything we'll talk about, you probably wouldn't survive a day without a little inner peace. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And as you settle in, let me know in the comments where you're listening from and what time it is for you. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You find yourself walking through an ancient agora, the dust of centuries settling around your sandaled feet, the distant hum of ancient voices a soothing backdrop. The air is thick with the murmur of philosophers debating the nature of reality, their voices like a soft, rhythmic tide, pulling you deeper into this historical reverie. You pass by a Stoic philosopher, his gaze steady, his hands clasped, seemingly unperturbed by the bustling marketplace that swirls around him. He embodies a tranquility that feels almost supernatural in its stillness, a fortress built against the unpredictable slings and arrows of fortune and the ceaseless clamor of daily life. This sense of inner calm, a cultivated resilience to external events and emotional disturbances, is the very essence of what the Stoics sought to achieve, a stark contrast to the fleeting joys and profound sorrows that ensnare so many in their relentless pursuit of happiness or desperate avoidance of pain. The concept of samsara, on the other hand, whispers to you from a different corner of the world, from the ancient texts of the East, a concept steeped in the profound understanding of cyclical existence and the interconnectedness of all life. It speaks of a continuous cycle of birth, death, and rebirth, a relentless turning of the wheel of existence driven by desire, attachment, and ignorance, the very forces that bind us. Imagine a vast cosmic carousel, endlessly spinning, with each ride offering a different experience, a new lesson, a fresh perspective, but always bringing you back to the beginning, to another turn on the great wheel. It's a grand narrative that suggests our current life is just one chapter in an incredibly long story, and what we do now, our every action, thought, and intention, echoes into what comes next, shaping our future experiences within this boundless cycle of becoming. Think of the famous Roman emperor Marcus Aurelius, whose meditations offer a rare, intimate glimpse into his private Stoic practice and deeply personal reflections on leadership, duty, and human nature. He often reminded himself of the inherent impermanence of all things, even his own immense imperial power and the grand structures of Rome, understanding with quiet wisdom that clinging to anything, be it pleasure, pain, or temporary position, was a sure path to suffering and inevitable disappointment when change inevitably arrived. Meanwhile, across the globe, the profound teachings of the Buddha were laying out a clear and direct path to liberation from the endless cycle of samsara, emphasizing the profound understanding of suffering, its true causes, and its ultimate cessation through the cultivation of deep wisdom, unwavering compassion, and ethical conduct. It's fascinating how two such distinct philosophies, born of different cultures and separated by vast distances, could arrive at remarkably similar core conclusions about the nature of human experience and the most effective path to enduring peace and ultimate freedom. One surprising fact is that while Stoicism is often associated in popular culture with an impassive detachment and a suppression of all emotions, early Stoics engaged deeply and actively in civic life, believing that their philosophy was best practiced not through withdrawal from the world, but through active participation and ethical engagement. They didn't retreat from society or seek isolation. Instead, they sought to improve it through the application of reason, the cultivation of virtue, and unwavering ethical conduct, viewing their hard-won inner peace as a powerful tool for effective action and positive influence, not an excuse for passivity or indifference. Similarly, within the intricate framework of samsara, the profound concept of karma emphasizes the direct ethical implications of our actions, suggesting that every thought, every word spoken, and every deed performed whether intentional or unintentional, contributes directly to the unfolding of our future experiences, creating ripples that extend far beyond our immediate perception and into the vast expanse of time. The historians still debate the precise extent of intellectual exchange and direct influence between these distant philosophical traditions, but the profound parallels in their core insights and guiding principles are simply too striking to ignore, suggesting a universal human quest for meaning, liberation, and an understanding of the fundamental nature of existence. So, as we begin this shared meditative journey, this gentle exploration of ancient wisdom that transcends time and geography, consider how the Stoic acceptance of what is truly beyond our control might offer a profound key to navigating the relentless turning of samsara's wheel. If we can cultivate that unshakable inner citadel of calm, that deep understanding of impermanence, and a clear insight into the nature of suffering itself, perhaps we can truly begin to loosen the pervasive grip of attachment that keeps us bound to endless cycles of dissatisfaction, fleeting desires, and temporary joys. It's not about escaping life or becoming indifferent to its rich tapestry of experiences, but rather about living it with a profound sense of freedom, an awakened presence, and a deep, abiding purpose, understanding that each precious moment, however fleeting or challenging, holds the immense potential for profound growth, insightful understanding, and a deeper connection to the universal truths that underpin all existence and guide our journey. As you continue your journey through the mental landscape we're exploring, the whispers of impermanence become clearer, like the gentle rustle of leaves in an autumn wind, a constant, soft reminder of change. This isn't a harsh or morbid thought, but rather a soft, undeniable truth that both Stoicism and the profound wisdom of samsara embrace wholeheartedly. Nothing truly stays the same. Everything is in a state of flux. Imagine trying to hold on to a cloud, or grasp the ephemeral flow of a river with your bare hands. It's simply not possible, just as you cannot halt the march of time. Your favorite coffee cup, the familiar comfort of your armchair, even the fleeting feeling of intense happiness after a particularly good laugh or a poignant memory, all of it is in a constant state of subtle transformation, shifting, changing, eventually fading into something new. It's like trying to keep a perfectly organized sock drawer, diligently folded and paired. No matter how hard you try, entropy always wins, and suddenly you're left with a perplexing collection of mismatched single socks, a comical testament to the inevitability of change. The ancient Greek philosopher Heraclitus, a figure whose insights often resonated with later Stoic thought, famously stated, "No man ever steps in the same river twice, for it's not the same river and he's not the same man." This profound observation perfectly encapsulates the Stoic understanding of impermanence as a fundamental aspect of reality. They didn't just intellectually acknowledge it, they actively meditated on this truth, using this deep awareness to cultivate an unshakable inner peace and resilience. By consistently recognizing that everything external to their virtue and reason is temporary and beyond their ultimate control, they began to free themselves from the gnawing anxiety of losing what they had, or the desperate, consuming yearning for what they didn't possess. This Stoic practice is a far cry from the modern hustle where we often define our very identity by our latest acquisitions, fleeting accomplishments, or transient social status, isn't it? It's like obsessively checking your social media feed every 5 minutes, expecting it to be exactly the same as it was a mere second ago, clinging to a fixed image. From the profound perspective of samsara, the concept of impermanence, or anicca, is even more central and foundational to understanding the nature of existence. Every life, every experience, every physical form, and every mental state is seen as inherently transient, part of an endless, ceaseless cycle of arising and passing away, a cosmic dance of becoming and unbecoming. The grand, immutable seeming mountains, the vast churning oceans, even the distant shimmering stars themselves, are all subject to this ceaseless dance of change, their forms continually transforming over immeasurable spans of time. This isn't meant to be a depressing or fatalistic thought, but rather a profoundly liberating one, a key to releasing suffering. If everything is impermanent, then even the most intense or prolonged suffering is, by its very nature, temporary, and will eventually pass. The difficult moment you're experiencing right now, that nagging worry about your next deadline at work, or even that awkward encounter at the grocery store that made you cringe, it too shall pass. It's almost comforting, like knowing even the most dreadful reality show eventually has its season finale, bringing a sense of relief. Consider the historical anecdote of Zeno of Citium, the revered founder of Stoicism, who reportedly lost his entire fortune in a shipwreck, a catastrophic event by most standards. Instead of succumbing to despair, a reaction that would be entirely understandable for many, he is said to have calmly remarked, "Now that I've suffered shipwreck, I'm ready for port, or fortune commands me to be a philosopher." This isn't a flippant or dismissive remark, but a deep embodiment of accepting impermanence and the external events beyond one's control. He understood profoundly that his wealth was external and therefore inherently transient, and its loss didn't diminish his inner worth, his moral character, or his capacity for cultivating virtue. Similarly, in many ancient Buddhist texts and parables, there are compelling stories of practitioners who, upon losing everything material, found profound spiritual liberation, seeing their previous attachments to possessions as invisible chains that had unknowingly bound their spirit. The historians still debate whether Zeno's shipwreck was a purely literal event or perhaps a more symbolic metaphorical teaching moment, but its enduring philosophical impact and illustrative power remain undeniable. So, as you rest quietly in this moment, perhaps nestled comfortably in your bed, let the powerful idea of impermanence gently wash over you like a soft, comforting wave on a serene beach. It's not about becoming indifferent to the beauty or profound joy that life offers, nor is it about suppressing your natural emotions. Instead, it's about learning to hold on to them lightly, appreciating their presence while understanding their fleeting nature, much like admiring a beautiful sunset knowing it will soon fade. When you truly begin to embrace the impermanence of all things, you start to release the subtle, pervasive tension of clinging, of desperately trying to freeze time or hold on to what fundamentally cannot be held forever. This profound understanding, a shared wisdom gleaned from both ancient Stoics and the deep traditions of Samsara, offers a powerful and transformative pathway to lasting inner freedom. It allows you to appreciate the present moment more deeply and fully, knowing that it too is a precious, unique, and fleeting gift, and to face the inevitable ebb and flow of life's experiences with a quiet, unshakable calm and a profound sense of peace. As the gentle whispers of impermanence settle softly around you, a new and profound layer of understanding begins to unfold, revealing the ancient teachings on the nature of attachment. Both the practical philosophy of Stoicism and the profound insights of Samsara illuminate how much of our suffering often stems not from external events themselves, which are largely beyond our control, but from our deep-seated clinging to what we desire, or our fierce, often irrational, resistance to what we fear losing. Imagine holding a handful of fine beach sand. The tighter you clench your fist in an attempt to secure it, the more it inevitably slips through your fingers, leaving you with less than you started. This simple yet powerful image perfectly captures the essence of attachment. The more we desperately try to possess, control, or freeze transient things, the more pain we inadvertently invite into our lives when those things inevitably change, transform, or slip away from our grasp. It's quite like trying to force your independent house cat into a tiny, ill-fitting sweater. You might momentarily succeed in the battle, but you'll likely end up with multiple scratches, a very unhappy feline, and a strong sense of personal frustration, ultimately proving the futility of forcing things that resist control. The ancient Stoics were acutely and deeply aware of this pervasive human tendency to attach to external circumstances and outcomes. They didn't advocate for a cold apathy or a complete lack of engagement with the vibrant tapestry of life, but rather for a reasoned, mindful detachment from the unpredictable outcomes of events and from all things that are not truly within our direct sphere of control. For them, true and lasting freedom lay not in external circumstances, but in mastering one's internal responses and judgments, in recognizing that while external circumstances might be turbulent and challenging, their inner peace remained an unassailable fortress, provided they didn't give away its crucial keys through misguided attachment or emotional reactivity. They taught that we should desire things not as if they were absolutely essential for our happiness or very existence, but rather as mere preferred indifference, things that are pleasant or useful to have, but fundamentally not necessary for our core well-being or virtue. This is a subtle yet extraordinarily powerful distinction, a mental shift from, I absolutely need this particular thing to be happy, to, this specific thing would be pleasant, but I possess the inner resources to be happy even without it. It's quite similar to preferring a gourmet, multi-course meal prepared by a renowned chef, but being perfectly content and nourished with a simple, wholesome one when that's what's genuinely available to you. In the intricate and profound cosmology of samsara, attachment, or upadana in Sanskrit, is precisely identified as one of the primary links in the complex chain of dependent origination that relentlessly perpetuates the entire cycle of suffering, dissatisfaction, and continuous rebirth. It's not just about tangible material possessions, like your comfortable home or your favorite gadget. It extends far more broadly to include our strong attachments to abstract ideas, cherished opinions, deeply ingrained beliefs, complex relationships, and even our own deeply constructed, often illusory sense of self or identity. Each time we cling with intense desire, each time we identify too strongly or exclusively with something inherently transient, we inadvertently create further karma that subtly binds us to future experiences within the cyclical journey of existence. The ancient narrative often speaks metaphorically of the world of suffering as a vast burning house, and attachment, with its insatiable desires, being the primary fuel that keeps this relentless fire raging, consuming all in its path. The noble path to liberation, therefore, involves systematically lessening and eventually extinguishing this clinging, understanding deeply that true and lasting peace arises not from ceaselessly acquiring more, but from the courageous and wise act of letting go. This concept can seem incredibly counterintuitive and even impossible in our hyper-consumer-driven modern world, where pervasive advertisements constantly tell you that ultimate happiness, fulfillment, and status are just one more purchase away, subtly reinforcing patterns of attachment, doesn't it? A remarkable historical figure who powerfully exemplified a profound understanding of detachment was Epictetus, the revered Stoic philosopher who began his life as a slave and rose to become one of the most influential teachers of his time. Despite his incredibly humble origins, the enduring physical hardships he faced throughout his life, and the inherent lack of freedom in his early circumstances, he taught with unwavering conviction that true and ultimate freedom was found, not in external circumstances or material possessions, but exclusively in one's own mind, in the cultivated ability to clearly distinguish what is genuinely within our control, our judgments, our desires, our aversions, our actions, from what is fundamentally not. Everything else in the external world. He famously advised his students with profound simplicity, don't demand that things happen as you wish, but wish that they happen as they do happen, and you will go on well. This radical and deep acceptance of reality, rooted in a profound understanding of universal impermanence and the inherent futility of clinging attachment, allowed him to live a life of remarkable serenity, dignity, and inner peace amidst constant external adversity. Many ancient texts and accounts describe how he gently taught his students to view their possessions, their health, and even their loved ones as merely loaned to them by fortune, to be cherished while present but returned, without complaint or bitterness when she inevitably reclaimed them. The historians still engage in ongoing debate about how literally his diverse array of students interpreted these powerful and sometimes challenging teachings, but the core, timeless message of non-attachment as a pathway to freedom remained, the consistent guiding principle. So, as you continue to relax into the quiet stillness of this tranquil moment, perhaps nestled comfortably in your bed, allow yourself to gently contemplate the subtle yet pervasive ways in which attachment might be silently shaping your own current experiences and influencing your reactions to the world. Where do you find yourself clinging most tightly? Is it to a particular future outcome you desperately desire, a cherished memory from the past you can't let go of, a specific person or relationship you fear losing, or perhaps even an identity or self-image you've painstakingly constructed for yourself? Remember, this contemplation is not about harsh self-judgment or criticism, but purely about gentle, compassionate observation and self-awareness. By understanding this ancient wisdom on attachment, a timeless truth shared by both the Stoic philosophers and the profound insights of samsara, you begin to see that releasing your tight grip isn't a significant loss or a form of deprivation, but rather a powerful liberating act of self-emancipation. It's a clear pathway to an expansive sense of true freedom, where your fundamental happiness isn't precariously dependent on the fluctuating, unpredictable external world, but rather on an unshakable inner tranquility, a deep and abiding peace that remains constant and accessible even as the world around you continues its ceaseless, beautiful, and inevitable dance of change, allowing you to float effortlessly upon its currents rather than being pulled down by the heavy anchors of unfulfilled desires and rigid expectations. As the understanding of impermanence and the subtle nature of attachment continues to settle deeply within your consciousness, you find yourself poised to embrace another profoundly fundamental principle that gracefully unites Stoic thought with the timeless wisdom of samsara, the art of embracing the flow of life. Imagine standing at the very edge of a vast, powerful river, its currents ceaselessly moving forward. You could choose to fight against its relentless current, struggling with all your might to swim upstream against its natural direction, or fiercely resist its inevitable flow, which will only lead to extreme exhaustion, profound frustration, and eventual distress. Alternatively, and more wisely, you can choose to simply let go, to gently surrender to its natural, unyielding flow, allowing its immense power to carry you effortlessly downstream with minimal effort. This act of surrendering, not to a passive or fatalistic sense of destiny, but to the unvarnished reality of what is at any given moment, is a profound and liberating lesson that shifts your perspective. It's quite like trying to argue vehemently with the weather during a sudden downpour. No matter how much you complain bitterly about the rain, it fundamentally won't stop, and you'll merely end up feeling intensely grumpy, utterly soaked, and no better off for your resistance. The ancient Stoics, with their deep insights into human nature and the cosmos, called this transformative concept amor fati, which elegantly translates to love of fate, or love of what happens. It wasn't about being fatalistic in a resigned or passive sense, or merely accepting life's hardships with a shrug. Instead, it was about actively loving and embracing everything that happens, viewing it not as an unfortunate obstacle or a personal affront, but as an integral and necessary part of the grand tapestry of one's path, an invaluable opportunity for cultivating profound virtue and inner strength. They deeply believed that the universe operates according to a rational, interconnected, and divine logos or reason, and to resist its workings was, in their view, to resist reason, nature, and the very structure of reality itself. By embracing every single event, whether it appeared seemingly good or undeniably bad from a conventional standpoint, as part of this grand, perfect design, they found an unshakable and enduring serenity that transcended external circumstances. This profound acceptance doesn't mean you passively stop trying to improve things within your sphere of influence, but rather that you calmly accept the reality of the present moment while still diligently striving for ethical and rational improvement where it's possible. It's like a highly skilled chef who, upon unexpectedly burning a dish during a busy service, doesn't throw a dramatic tantrum or blame external factors, but calmly analyzes what precisely went wrong, learns invaluable lessons from the experience, and applies that knowledge to expertly prepare the next meal with greater finesse. Within the intricate and profound framework of samsara, embracing the flow of life often manifests as a deep, intuitive understanding of dependent origination, or pratitya samutpada, and a profound acceptance of karma. Every event, every experience, every single circumstance we encounter is seen as arising from a complex, interconnected web of causes and conditions, a natural and inevitable unfolding of the universe's boundless interconnectedness. To fight fiercely against these present conditions, to deny their reality, is to fight futilely against reality itself, much like a fish trying to swim out of water. The ultimate goal, as understood within these ancient traditions, is not to miraculously escape the flow of existence, for that is utterly impossible, as long as one is within the intricate realm of samsara, but rather to learn to navigate it skillfully, with wisdom and compassion, consciously cultivating positive karma through virtuous actions and intentions, and thereby progressively reducing the sum of suffering through enlightened understanding. It's much like a seasoned, experienced sailor who doesn't curse or bemoan the unpredictable winds and turbulent waves, but instead learns to expertly adjust the sails, subtly trimming them to harness the powerful forces of nature, using them wisely, to gracefully guide the ship towards its destination, rather than being helplessly at their mercy and constantly fighting against them. A particularly fascinating and inspiring historical figure who beautifully embodied this very principle of embracing the flow of life was none other than Marcus Aurelius, the revered philosopher emperor of Rome. Despite the immense, crushing pressures of leading the vast Roman Empire during an exceptionally turbulent period, constantly facing relentless border battles, devastating plagues, treacherous political intrigue, and profound personal losses, including the deaths of loved ones, he consistently and diligently practiced amor fati, reminding himself repeatedly in his meditations that whatever happens to him is precisely what is needed for his personal growth, his moral development, and for the greater harmonious good of the universe itself. He famously penned a deeply paradoxical, yet profoundly insightful statement. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. This powerful paradox illustrates his profound and radical acceptance of life's challenges. He didn't merely tolerate difficulties, he bravely integrated them into his spiritual and philosophical path, transforming what appeared to be formidable obstacles into invaluable opportunities for practicing unwavering resilience, cultivating profound virtue, and deepening his understanding. Another lesser-known but intriguing fact about him is his quiet preference for a remarkably simple and unostentatious life, despite his supreme imperial status, often shunning the extravagant luxuries and pomp expected of a Roman emperor. Historians still engage in scholarly debate about how much his deeply personal Stoic philosophy directly influenced his specific public policy decisions and military strategies, but its undeniable impact on his inner life and his capacity for leadership is crystal clear and profoundly inspiring. So, as you continue to relax deeply and settle into the quiet stillness of this tranquil moment, perhaps nestled comfortably in your bed, allow yourself to gently contemplate what it truly means, in your own life, to embrace the magnificent, often unpredictable, flow of existence. Where might you currently be resisting what is? Are you perhaps clinging rigidly to old, outdated expectations, fiercely fighting against current, undeniable circumstances, or perhaps wishing with a sense of desperate longing that things were somehow different from how they currently are? This gentle and compassionate inquiry isn't about giving up your cherished dreams, your ambitious aspirations, or your noble goals, but fundamentally about releasing the subtle yet pervasive tension that inevitably comes from rigidly demanding that the vast, complex reality of the world conform perfectly to your often limited personal desires and preconceived notions. By learning to accept, and even actively love, the spontaneous unfolding of your life, with all its unpredictable twists, surprising turns, and unavoidable challenges, a profound wisdom deeply embedded in both the practical Stoic philosophy and the ancient cyclical narratives of samsara, you begin to tap into an inexhaustible source of profound inner peace, unshakable resilience, and genuine freedom. You realize that true and lasting power lies not in attempting to forcefully control the mighty river of life, but in learning to gracefully navigate its ever-changing currents with wisdom, adaptability, and an open heart, allowing yourself to be gently carried towards a deeper sense of contentment, unwavering peace, and ultimate liberation, wherever the transformative journey may lead you. As you deepen your understanding of embracing life's natural flow, allowing yourself to be carried by its currents rather than fighting against them, you naturally arrive at another profoundly shared insight between the grounded philosophy of Stoicism and the timeless wisdom of samsara, the pervasive and often powerful illusion of control. We frequently live our lives under the strong, persistent, and often subconscious belief that we are entirely in charge of most things around us. our carefully planned career trajectory, the often unpredictable behavior of others, the precise outcome of our most diligent efforts, and even the minute-by-minute path our day will invariably take. This deeply ingrained feeling can initially be quite comforting, creating a seemingly solid sense of security and predictability in a chaotic world. But it is ultimately a very fragile, fleeting, and misleading illusion. The ancient Stoics understood this fundamental truth intimately, recognizing with clarity that the only thing truly and absolutely within our direct control is our own inner mind, specifically our judgments, our deeply held desires, our strong aversions, and our deliberate intentions. Everything else, the vast majority of life's unpredictable occurrences, and the external world operates according to forces far beyond our direct command or manipulation. It's quite like confidently attempting to tell a spirited toddler exactly how they should play with their favorite stack of colorful blocks. You might have a perfectly well-intentioned and intricate plan in your mind, but the delightful, messy reality will almost certainly unfold in a beautifully chaotic, wonderfully unpredictable, and ultimately completely uncontrollable way, leaving you both amused and perhaps a little bewildered by the sheer force of autonomous will. The profoundly influential Stoic philosopher Epictetus, a remarkable figure who began his life as a slave and, through sheer intellectual and moral strength, gained profound wisdom through his lived experience of hardship and freedom, frequently emphasized this crucial distinction between what is up to us, our internal world, and what is not up to us, the external world. He passionately argued that true, unshakable freedom and lasting inner peace come directly from fully internalizing this fundamental truth and consistently directing all our precious energy and focus towards what we can genuinely control. When you find yourself fretting anxiously about something external, whether it's the volatile fluctuations of the stock market, the often fickle opinion someone else holds of you, the unpredictable vagaries of tomorrow's weather forecast, or even the latest news cycle, you are, in essence, unknowingly handing over the keys to your precious inner peace and tranquility to external forces that are inherently beyond your grasp. This is a subtle yet extraordinarily revolutionary shift in perspective. Instead of fruitlessly trying to bend the entire world to your personal will, you learn to calmly and wisely align your will with the natural, often surprising way the world naturally unfolds. This isn't passive resignation or apathy towards life. It's an active, conscious choice to cultivate profound wisdom, cultivate robust resilience, and foster an inner serenity that is unassailable. It's similar to a highly skilled and experienced pilot who understands perfectly that they cannot control the unpredictable force of the wind, but they possess the knowledge and skill to expertly control their plane's precise response to it, thereby navigating safely and skillfully through even the roughest skies, rather than crashing because of futile resistance. Within the intricate and profound tapestry of samsara, the pervasive illusion of control is even more deeply woven into the very fabric of human suffering and continuous cyclical existence. Our persistent, often unconscious desire to rigidly control outcomes, to dictate the behaviors of other people, and even to manipulate our own fleeting experiences is rigorously identified as a primary and deeply rooted source of dissatisfaction, frustration, and intense attachment, which inadvertently binds us further to the relentless cycle of rebirth and suffering. The fundamental Buddhist concept of anatta, often translated as non-self or no soul, subtly yet powerfully undermines the conventional, deeply ingrained idea of a fixed, permanent, and controlling I or ego, suggesting instead that the self, too, is merely a constantly changing, interconnected collection of processes, sensations, and thoughts, inherently devoid of an independent, permanent, and inherently controlling entity. Therefore, the very idea of a singular, unchanging self that can exert absolute, definitive control over an ever-changing, dynamic external world is revealed to be fundamentally illusory. This profound understanding of anatta naturally invites a radical and liberating letting go, a recognition that striving for ultimate, absolute control is ultimately a futile, exhausting, and suffering-laden endeavor that yields no lasting peace. It's like attempting to meticulously micromanage a complex, naturally self-regulating ecosystem in a misguided attempt to improve it. The more you try to forcefully interfere with its intricate organic processes, the more you risk disrupting its delicate natural balance, leading to unintended negative consequences, more chaos, and a less harmonious outcome than if you had simply trusted its inherent wisdom. Consider the eloquent historical account of Seneca the Younger, another profoundly influential Roman Stoic philosopher, orator, and prominent advisor to the notoriously volatile Emperor Nero. Despite his immense influence, his considerable wealth, and his close proximity to imperial power, he constantly wrote with great prescience about the inherently unpredictable and capricious nature of fortune and the paramount importance of cultivating an unshakable inner fortress of character and virtue that external events, however tumultuous, could not breach. He understood with clarity that even those individuals possessing the most immense power and material riches could lose everything in an instant, a truth he himself tragically experienced when he was eventually ordered by Nero to take his own life, facing his death with remarkable stoic composure. Seneca's extensive writings are filled with poignant reflections on how fleeting and ephemeral both political power and material riches truly are, and how the only true, enduring possession is one's cultivated virtue, one's rational judgment, and one's character. A curious and perhaps surprising fact is that Seneca also experimented with vegetarianism for a time, a dietary practice that was not entirely uncommon among certain philosophical circles in the ancient world, reflecting a broader commitment to ethical living and self-discipline. Historians still engage in robust scholarly debate about the true depth and consistency of his personal Stoic practice given his undeniable political involvement and the compromises that likely entailed, but his powerful written works undeniably advocate for profound internal discipline, a deep awareness of life's inherent impermanence, and a clear recognition of the powerful illusion of external control as a path to peace. So, as you continue to relax deeply and settle into the quiet, enveloping stillness of this tranquil moment, perhaps nestled comfortably in your bed, allow yourself to gently yet honestly contemplate the powerful and pervasive illusion of control within the context of your own precious life. Where do you find yourself exerting unnecessary mental or emotional effort, perhaps even unconsciously, trying desperately to manipulate outcomes that are, in objective reality, clearly beyond your direct influence or reach? Are you perhaps holding onto the deeply ingrained belief that if you just plan meticulously enough, worry intensely enough, or work tirelessly enough, you can somehow dictate every single detail and aspect of your future, ensuring it aligns perfectly with your desires? This gentle, non-judgmental inquiry is not about promoting apathy, encouraging passive resignation, or suggesting a lack of ambition. Instead, it is profoundly about cultivating a deep, liberating wisdom that frees you from the immense, self-imposed burden and ceaseless anxiety of trying to control the uncontrollable. By understanding, truly accepting, and wholeheartedly embracing the profound illusion of control, a timeless truth powerfully embedded in both the practical Stoic philosophy and the deep cyclical narratives of Samsara, you begin to release a tremendous amount of inner tension, mental stress, and debilitating anxiety that you might not even realize you were carrying. You come to realize that true and lasting peace, coupled with an authentic sense of freedom, emerges not from fruitlessly commanding the external world to obey your will, but rather from wisely aligning yourself with its natural, unpredictable flow, trusting implicitly in your inherent ability to respond virtuously, rationally, and with equanimity to whatever arises, and finding deep, abiding contentment and profound serenity in the boundless present moment, entirely free from the exhausting and ultimately futile tyranny of trying to orchestrate every single detail of your intricate existence. Having deeply explored the profound illusion of control and the timeless wisdom of embracing life's natural flow, allowing yourself to be carried by its inherent currents, you naturally transition to a crucial and liberating outcome of these powerful understandings, finding profound and lasting peace in the active embrace of acceptance. This isn't a passive or resigned acceptance of fate, nor is it a surrender to apathy. Instead, it is an active, conscious, and deeply mindful choice to greet reality precisely as it is, in its raw, unfiltered form, rather than constantly striving for it to be exactly as you wish it to be, a struggle that often leads to frustration. Imagine a tranquil, pristine mountain lake, its glassy surface perfectly reflecting the boundless sky above. When an unexpected stone is playfully thrown into its serene waters, ripples inevitably spread outwards, disrupting the calm. But eventually, with time and the lake's inherent nature, the surface returns to its original stillness and calm. Your own mind, too, can find this profound stillness and equilibrium by actively accepting the inevitable ripples of life, the unexpected challenges, the difficult circumstances, the unchangeable facts of existence. It's quite like finally admitting, with a gentle sense of amusement, that your favorite pair of socks are indeed irrevocably mismatched after countless laundry cycles. Once you fully accept this minor reality, you can simply wear them with a playful smirk and a quiet sense of self-amusement, thereby freeing yourself from the futile and energy-consuming quest for perfectly matched pairs, a quest that previously caused a subtle, unnecessary irritation. For the ancient Stoics, whose philosophy championed inner fortitude and rationality, acceptance was not merely a desirable trait but the absolute bedrock of eudaimonia, or true human flourishing and living well. They diligently, almost scientifically, distinguished between what they could genuinely change through their own efforts and rational actions, and what they fundamentally could not change, things that lay entirely beyond their sphere of influence. Their profound and unshakable peace stemmed directly from fully and wholeheartedly accepting the latter, the things outside their control, understanding with clear wisdom that distress, emotional turmoil, and suffering arise not from external events themselves, which are neutral, but rather from our own misguided judgments about them and our futile resistance to their inherent nature. Epictetus, the revered Stoic philosopher who endured the hardships of slavery and ultimately taught profound truths, famously taught his students, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it, that truly matters." This powerful and concise maxim succinctly underlines the core Stoic path. By consciously and actively accepting circumstances beyond their control, they vigilantly preserved their precious inner tranquility, thereby making it truly impervious and resilient to external turbulence and misfortune. This active, conscious acceptance is not weakness. It is a profound form of ultimate freedom, a liberation from the debilitating tyranny of external circumstance and the dictates of fortune. It's quite similar to a seasoned and wise gardener who understands and accepts the natural, inevitable cycles of growth, decay, and dormancy in nature, knowing deeply that battling fiercely against a harsh, inevitable winter is utterly pointless and exhausting, but meticulously preparing the soil and seeds for the coming spring is immensely wise and productive. Within the vast, intricate, and deeply profound framework of samsara, finding a lasting peace and acceptance is not just a concept, but a core, central tenet, often referred to as equanimity or upekkha in the Buddhist tradition. This state of mind is not to be mistaken for cold indifference or detachment from human experience. Rather, it is a finely balanced state of mind that remains remarkably undisturbed and serene amidst the ceaseless ups and downs, the triumphs and tribulations, the joys and sorrows of life. It arises from a deep recognition that suffering, in its most fundamental form, arises from craving, desire, and aversion, resistance, our persistent, insatiable desires for things to be different than they actually are, or our strong avoidance of what is already present. By actively accepting reality as it unfolds, by consciously letting go of these grasping cravings and strong aversions, one progressively lessens the fuel that perpetuates the relentless cycle of suffering, dissatisfaction, and continuous rebirth. It's strikingly similar to a seasoned meditator who observes their thoughts, feelings, and sensations arising and passing away within their mind without judgment, allowing them to naturally arise and dissipate, rather than frantically clinging to pleasant ones or forcefully pushing away unpleasant ones. The profound wisdom here is that clinging desperately to fleeting joy inevitably causes suffering when that joy naturally fades, just as fiercely resisting sorrow or pain only prolongs and intensifies its stay, preventing genuine healing and release. A profoundly compelling historical example of such radical, life-altering acceptance comes from the tragic yet inspiring life of Boethius, a brilliant Roman philosopher, statesman, and scholar who lived centuries after the classical Stoics, but whose seminal work, The Consolation of Philosophy, is deeply imbued with and resonates strongly with core Stoic principles. Imprisoned and facing imminent execution on false charges, a situation of ultimate adversity, he engaged in a profound philosophical dialogue with an allegorical figure he called Lady Philosophy. She guided him with unwavering wisdom to understand that true happiness, enduring contentment, and ultimate good fortune reside exclusively within oneself, in one's inner virtue and reason, entirely beyond the reach of external circumstances, fickle fate, or tyrannical rulers. Despite his desperate and dire situation, stripped of all power and freedom, he found profound and unshakable peace by ultimately accepting his fate and meticulously focusing on cultivating his inner virtue, maintaining his rational judgment and seeking truth. A lesser-known but intriguing fact about Boethius is that he was also an exceptionally brilliant scholar of mathematics and music theory, skills which he later used to translate complex Greek philosophical and scientific texts into Latin, thereby preserving much ancient knowledge for the medieval West. Historians still engage in scholarly debate about the precise influence of his Christian faith on his seemingly stoic acceptance and resilience during his final days. But the powerful narrative of his internal fortitude and profound acceptance in the face of death remains incredibly compelling and timeless. So as you continue to relax deeply and settle into the quiet, enveloping stillness of this tranquil moment, perhaps nestled comfortably in your bed, allow yourself to gently yet honestly contemplate what it truly means to find and cultivate a lasting peace and acceptance within the context of your own unique life. Where might you currently be resisting something that has already undeniably happened, or something that is clearly and irrevocably true in your present circumstances? Are you perhaps struggling fiercely against a harsh reality that cannot be changed, thereby causing yourself immense and unnecessary distress, frustration, and suffering? This gentle, non-judgmental inquiry is emphatically not about condoning injustice, promoting passivity, or abandoning all efforts for positive change where such change is genuinely possible and within your sphere of influence. Instead, it is profoundly about releasing the immense personal suffering, the mental anguish, and the emotional burden that comes from rigidly resisting what is already an undeniable, unchangeable fact of reality. By actively and consciously choosing to accept reality precisely as it presents itself, a profound and liberating wisdom deeply embedded in both the practical Stoic philosophy and the compassionate, cyclical narratives of samsara, you begin to unlock an incredible, inexhaustible wellspring of inner tranquility, unshakable resilience, and genuine, lasting freedom. You come to realize that true peace is not merely the absence of problems or challenges, but rather the calm, steady, and unwavering presence of mind amidst them, allowing you to move through life with a quiet, dignified strength and a deep, unshakable sense of equanimity, no longer helplessly tossed about by the fleeting whims of external events, but anchored firmly and serenely in your own profound inner wisdom and unwavering acceptance. As your journey through acceptance deepens, you begin to perceive the intricate dance between actions and their consequences, a concept central to both Stoicism and Samsara, often understood as karma in the East and virtue in the West. This isn't about some external, vengeful force, but rather a natural law of cause and effect, where your thoughts, words, and deeds ripple outwards, shaping your present and future. Imagine throwing a pebble into a still pond. The ripples extend far beyond where the stone landed. Similarly, every choice you make, no matter how small, sends out an energetic resonance, subtly influencing the landscape of your life. It's like forgetting to water your houseplant for weeks and then wondering why it looks so droopy. The cause and effect are undeniably linked, even if we sometimes wish they weren't. For the Stoics, this profound understanding translated into an unwavering commitment to virtue. They believed that the only true good was virtue itself, wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance. Because these qualities are entirely within our control and inherently beneficial, regardless of external outcomes. When you act virtuously, you are aligning yourself with reason, with nature, and with the logos of the universe. This isn't about accumulating good karma for a future reward, but about living a life that is inherently good, thereby ensuring your inner peace is unassailable. They understood that external rewards or punishments were indifferent, but the quality of their character, forged through virtuous action, was paramount. This dedication to inner excellence meant their karma was always within their grasp, always being cultivated through their choices. Within the expansive framework of samsara, the principle of karma is a foundational pillar. It's the law that governs the cycle of rebirth, ensuring that every action, whether physical, verbal, or mental, creates an impression or seed that will ripen into future experiences, good or bad. It's a deeply ethical cosmology. If you act with kindness, you cultivate the conditions for kindness to return to you. If you act with malice, you set in motion a cycle of suffering for yourself. This isn't a punitive system, but a self-regulating one, teaching profound responsibility for one's choices. The goal is to purify one's karma through ethical conduct, compassion, and wisdom, eventually leading to liberation from the cycle itself. It's like having a cosmic accounting system where every positive and negative action gets recorded, ensuring a balanced ledger in the grand scheme of existence. A significant historical figure illustrating virtuous action was Cato the Younger, a Roman Stoic known for his unwavering integrity and incorruptibility. He consistently upheld republican ideals against the rise of Julius Caesar, even choosing suicide over submitting to tyranny, a testament to his commitment to virtue over life itself. His actions, driven by a deep sense of duty and moral rectitude, left an indelible mark on Roman history, inspiring later generations. He wasn't seeking personal gain or external glory, but acting in accordance with his deeply held Stoic principles, regardless of the consequences. A curious, lesser-known fact is that Cato was also known for his rather austere lifestyle, often walking barefoot and eating simple meals even when he could afford more. Historians still debate the practical wisdom of his inflexible stance against Caesar, but his integrity as a Stoic is rarely questioned. So, as you continue to relax deeply into the quiet stillness of this moment, perhaps nestled comfortably in your bed, allow yourself to gently contemplate the profound impact of your own actions and intentions. How do your daily choices, your thoughts, and your words contribute to the landscape of your life and the lives of those around you? Are you sowing seeds of peace, kindness, and understanding? Or perhaps unknowingly cultivating patterns of discord and dissatisfaction? This gentle inquiry is not about burdening you with guilt, but about empowering you with the profound knowledge that your choices matter, profoundly. By understanding the intricate principles of karma and virtue, as illuminated by both Stoic philosophy and the wisdom of samsara, you begin to realize that you hold immense power to shape your own experiences and contribute positively to the world. It is through conscious, virtuous action, guided by wisdom and compassion, that you not only find deeper inner peace, but also actively participate in the ongoing creation of a more harmonious and meaningful existence, moving through the world with purpose and integrity. As you deepen your understanding of karma and the profound wisdom of virtuous action, another fundamental concept emerges from the convergence of Stoicism and Samsara, the cyclical nature of suffering. It's a reality that, left unexamined, can feel like an endless loop, a cosmic treadmill from which escape seems impossible. You might notice patterns in your own life, recurring frustrations, familiar anxieties, or predictable disappointments that seem to cycle back around, perhaps with different faces but the same underlying feeling. This isn't random. It's often a sign that the root causes, the attachments and resistances we discussed earlier, are still at play, perpetuating the cycle. It's like trying to fix a leaky faucet by just putting a bucket under it. You'll constantly be emptying buckets, never truly stopping the drip until you address the source. The Stoics, though they didn't speak of reincarnation, certainly recognized recurring patterns of human folly and suffering. They observed that those who acted irrationally, who clung to external things, or who resisted what was beyond their control, were perpetually tossed about by the winds of fortune, experiencing repeated distress. Their solution wasn't to lament this cycle, but to break it within themselves. By consistently applying reason, practicing virtue, and cultivating acceptance, they aimed to achieve a state of inner tranquility, a virtuous cycle of their own, where they were no longer susceptible to the same old sources of unhappiness. They understood that the world might present the same challenges, but their response could be different, thus breaking their personal cycle of reactive suffering. Within the vast and ancient framework of samsara, the cyclical nature of suffering is not just an observation, but the very definition of existence itself, a continuous process of birth, aging, sickness, and death, driven by ignorance, craving, and aversion. The Four Noble Truths in Buddhism, for instance, begin with the truth of suffering, dukkha, acknowledging its pervasive presence, and the second truth identifies its origin in craving and attachment, which perpetuate the cycle. The repeated patterns of dissatisfaction, rebirth into various states of existence, and the inherent impermanence of all things ensure that suffering is an inescapable part of samsara. The liberation lies in understanding this cycle and finding the path to transcend it, rather than perpetually being caught within its grasp. It's like being stuck in a labyrinth. You keep hitting the same walls until you finally see the true path out. Consider the historical figure of Cicero, a Roman statesman and orator who, while not a pure Stoic, was deeply influenced by Stoic philosophy and often wrestled with the cyclical nature of political turmoil and personal misfortune. In his life, he witnessed the repeated rise and fall of leaders, the instability of the republic, and endured personal tragedies. Yet he often found solace in philosophical contemplation and the pursuit of virtue as a means to navigate these relentless cycles. His own exile and later assassination highlighted the brutal, cyclical nature of Roman politics. A curious fact is that Cicero, despite his immense rhetorical power, was prone to bouts of anxiety and depression, yet he consistently turned to philosophy as his primary balm. Historians still debate the extent to which his philosophical ideals truly governed his often pragmatic political actions, but his writings reveal a deep struggle to find inner peace amidst the cycles of external chaos. So, as you continue to relax deeply into the quiet stillness of this moment, perhaps, nestled comfortably in your bed, allow yourself to gently contemplate the cyclical nature of suffering in your own life. Where do you observe recurring patterns of dissatisfaction, frustration, or emotional distress? Are there situations or reactions that seem to replay themselves, perhaps in slightly different forms? This gentle inquiry is not about dwelling on past misfortunes or feeling helpless. Instead, it is about empowering yourself with the insight that by recognizing these cycles, you gain the power to consciously choose a different path, to break free from old patterns that no longer serve your well-being. By applying the wisdom of self-awareness, acceptance, and virtuous action, principles illuminated by both Stoic philosophy and the profound understanding of samsara, you begin to transcend the repetitive nature of suffering, cultivating an inner landscape where peace is not a fleeting visitor, but a consistent, abiding presence, allowing you to move through life with greater freedom and an enduring sense of calm. As you deepen your understanding of karma and the profound wisdom of virtuous action, another fundamental concept emerges from the convergence of Stoicism and Samsara, the cyclical nature of suffering. It's a reality that, left unexamined, can feel like an endless loop, a cosmic treadmill from which escape seems impossible. You might notice patterns in your own life, recurring frustrations, familiar anxieties, or predictable disappointments that seem to cycle back around, perhaps with different faces, but the same underlying feeling. This isn't random. It's often a sign that the root causes, the attachments and resistances we discussed earlier, are still at play, perpetuating the cycle. It's like trying to fix a leaky faucet by just putting a bucket under it. You'll constantly be emptying buckets, never truly stopping the drip until you address the source. The Stoics, though they didn't speak of reincarnation, certainly recognized recurring patterns of human folly and suffering. They observed that those who acted irrationally, who clung to external things, or who resisted what was beyond their control, were perpetually tossed about by the winds of fortune, experiencing repeated distress. Their solution wasn't to lament this cycle, but to break it within themselves. By consistently applying reason, practicing virtue, and cultivating acceptance, they aimed to achieve a state of inner tranquility, a virtuous cycle of their own, where they were no longer susceptible to the same old sources of unhappiness. They understood that the world might present the same challenges, but their response could be different, thus breaking their personal cycle of reactive suffering. Within the vast and ancient framework of samsara, the cyclical nature of suffering is not just an observation, but the very definition of existence itself, a continuous process of birth, aging, sickness, and death, driven by ignorance, craving, and aversion. The Four Noble Truths in Buddhism, for instance, begin with the truth of suffering, dukkha, acknowledging its pervasive presence, and the second truth identifies its origin in craving and attachment, which perpetuate the cycle. The repeated patterns of dissatisfaction, rebirth into various states of existence, and the inherent impermanence of all things ensure that suffering is an inescapable part of samsara. The liberation lies in understanding this cycle and finding the path to transcend it, rather than perpetually being caught within its grasp. It's like being stuck in a labyrinth. You keep hitting the same walls until you finally see the true path out. Consider the historical figure of Cicero, a Roman statesman and orator who, while not a pure Stoic, was deeply influenced by Stoic philosophy and often wrestled with the cyclical nature of political turmoil and personal misfortune in his life. He witnessed the repeated rise and fall of leaders, the instability of the republic, and endured personal tragedies. Yet he often found solace in philosophical contemplation and the pursuit of virtue as a means to navigate these relentless cycles. His own exile and later assassination highlighted the brutal, cyclical nature of Roman politics. A curious fact is that Cicero, despite his immense rhetorical power, was prone to bouts of anxiety and depression, yet he consistently turned to philosophy as his primary balm. Historians still debate the extent to which his philosophical ideals truly governed his often pragmatic political actions, but his writings reveal a deep struggle to find inner peace amidst the cycles of external chaos. So as you continue to relax deeply into the quiet stillness of this moment, perhaps, nestled comfortably in your bed, allow yourself to gently contemplate the cyclical nature of suffering in your own life. Where do you observe recurring patterns of dissatisfaction, frustration, or emotional distress? Are there situations or reactions that seem to replay themselves, perhaps in slightly different forms? This gentle inquiry is not about dwelling on past misfortunes or feeling helpless. Instead, it is about empowering yourself with the insight that by recognizing these cycles, you gain the power to consciously choose a different path, to break free from old patterns that no longer serve your well-being. By applying the wisdom of self-awareness, acceptance, and virtuous action, principles illuminated by both Stoic philosophy and the profound understanding of samsara, you begin to transcend the repetitive nature of suffering, cultivating an inner landscape where peace is not a fleeting visitor, but a consistent, abiding presence, allowing you to move through life with greater freedom and an enduring sense of calm. As the liberating power of detachment begins to resonate more deeply within you, freeing you from the burdens of clinging, a new and profoundly unwavering guiding light emerges from the rich, shared wisdom of both Stoicism and Samsara, the paramount importance of virtue as a guiding star. In a world that is constantly shifting, unpredictable, and inherently impermanent, where external circumstances are often beyond our ultimate control and fleeting attachments bring only temporary satisfaction, followed by eventual disappointment, both philosophical traditions powerfully point inward, towards cultivating an unshakable moral compass. This isn't about adhering to rigid dogmatic rules or external dictates, but rather about consciously cultivating inherent inner qualities that lead to genuine human flourishing, eudaimonia, true well-being, and lasting peace, regardless of the turbulent external events that may unfold. Imagine sailing a ship across a vast, boundless ocean under the cover of night. Without a fixed, constant star to guide your way, you would be hopelessly lost in the boundless expanse of water, adrift and without direction. Virtue acts precisely as that unwavering celestial beacon, always pointing you steadfastly towards inner truth, rational understanding, and ethically rightful action, no matter the intensity of the storms you encounter or the fogs of uncertainty that may obscure your path. For the ancient Stoics, whose philosophy was built on the foundation of reason and inner strength, virtue was not merely considered a good quality among others. It was the only true good, the supreme and ultimate good, intrinsically valuable, inherently sufficient for complete happiness, and entirely impervious to external forces. They meticulously identified 4 cardinal virtues that served as their pillars of moral excellence: wisdom, encompassing practical judgment, clear understanding of what is good, bad, and indifferent, and sound decision-making; justice, embodying fairness, moral integrity, benevolence towards others, and fulfilling one's duties; courage, representing fortitude, resilience in the face of adversity, and the ability to act rightly despite fear; and temperance, denoting self-control, moderation in all things, and harmony within the soul. Every single action, every thought, and every intention was to be rigorously guided by these virtues. If you consistently acted virtuously, they believed, you were acting in perfect accordance with universal reason, with the very fabric of nature, and with the divine logos of the cosmos. Therefore, you were undeniably living well, living a life of true excellence, regardless of any external outcomes or perceived misfortunes. This radical, unwavering focus on inner excellence meant their profound peace and happiness were entirely self-generated, not precariously dependent on external validation, societal approval, or the fluctuating fortunes of life. It's quite like building a robust, unyielding house on solid bedrock instead of treacherous, shifting sand. When the inevitable storms and floods of life come, the virtuous life stands firm, unyielding in its integrity, remaining unperturbed by the external chaos. Within the expansive and profoundly ethical framework of samsara, particularly, as articulated in the core Buddhist teachings, virtue, or sulla, ethical conduct, is not just a secondary concept, but a foundational and indispensable pillar on the path to ultimate liberation from suffering. It encompasses a comprehensive spectrum of ethical conduct, including right speech, right action, and right livelihood, forming the essential basis upon which deeper mental purification, profound concentration, samadhi, and liberating wisdom, panna, can be cultivated. The 5 precepts, pankasila, refraining from harming living beings, refraining from taking what is not freely given, refraining from sexual misconduct, refraining from false speech, and refraining from intoxicants that cloud the mind, are practical, actionable guidelines for living a virtuous life, benefiting both oneself and others. These actions are not performed out of fear of punishment, to please an external deity, or to earn a reward in some distant future. Instead, they are undertaken because they naturally and inevitably lead to less suffering for oneself and for all sentient beings, and they actively purify the mind, creating positive karmic seeds that ripen into beneficial future experiences. By consistently living virtuously, one creates the optimal conditions for a more favorable rebirth within samsara, progressively moving towards higher states of being, and ultimately building the solid foundation necessary for completely transcending the cyclical journey of existence altogether. Consider the historical figure of Epictetus, whose entire life story stands as a compelling testament to the transformative power of choosing virtue as one's ultimate guide. Born into the harsh realities of slavery, he possessed absolutely nothing but his own remarkable mind and his inherent capacity for rational thought. Yet, through years of rigorous philosophical practice, unwavering self-discipline, and dedicated contemplation, he cultivated profound wisdom and an unshakable inner freedom that far surpassed the external liberties of his masters. He tirelessly taught his students that external conditions, like being a slave or a free man, being rich or poor, healthy or ill, were fundamentally indifferent, having no bearing on one's true worth or happiness. What truly mattered, he insisted, was one's character, one's moral choices, and whether one consistently acted virtuously, with reason and integrity, in every single situation, regardless of its difficulty or external appearance. His powerful and accessible teachings resonated deeply with many because they clearly showed that true dignity, lasting happiness, and genuine freedom were accessible to anyone, regardless of their social station, their material wealth, or their physical circumstances, simply by consciously and consistently choosing virtue as their unwavering guiding star. A surprising and often overlooked fact is that despite his profound emphasis on inner control and logical reasoning, Epictetus was known for his engaging, conversational, and often surprisingly humorous teaching style, quite a contrast to a stern, detached, or overly academic demeanor. Historians still debate the precise extent to which his influence reached beyond the intellectual elite to the common people of his time, but his timeless message of accessible virtue and inner liberation endures powerfully to this day. So, as you continue to relax deeply and settle into the quiet, enveloping stillness of this tranquil moment, perhaps nestled comfortably in your bed, allow yourself to gently yet honestly contemplate the profound and transformative role of virtue as your own personal guiding star. In what specific areas of your life could you more consistently and consciously align your daily actions, your heartfelt words, and your innermost thoughts with the principles of wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance? Are your current choices primarily driven by external desires, by fleeting fears, by the need for external validation, or by an intrinsic, unwavering commitment to what is inherently good, right, and truly beneficial for yourself and for all beings? This gentle, non-judgmental inquiry is not about burdening you with feelings of guilt, shame, or self-condemnation. Instead, it is profoundly about empowering you with the clear knowledge that you possess the inherent capacity to navigate the complexities of life with unwavering clarity, unshakable integrity, and deep purpose. By actively embracing virtue as your unwavering moral guide, a timeless universal truth profoundly shared and illuminated by both Stoic philosophy and the ancient wisdom traditions of Samsara, you begin to cultivate an inner resilience, a deep sense of self-respect, and a spiritual fortitude that transcends all external fluctuations and challenges. You come to realize that true, enduring happiness, profound satisfaction, and lasting inner peace are not found in the fleeting pleasures or the unpredictable fortunes of the external world, but rather in the steady, conscious cultivation of a virtuous character, a radiant beacon that lights your path even in the deepest darkness, guiding you towards a life of profound meaning, genuine fulfillment, and an unwavering, unassailable sense of purpose. As the radiant light of virtue illuminates your path, steadfastly guiding you through the intricate complexities of existence, you find yourself embarking upon another profoundly significant journey, the journey of self-discovery. This is not merely an intellectual exercise or a casual pastime, but a deep, rigorous, and often challenging introspective dive into the very core of who you truly are, meticulously peeling back layers of societal conditioning, inherited expectations, ingrained habits, and external influences to reveal your authentic, underlying self. Both Stoicism and Samsara, each in their unique yet complementary ways, earnestly urge you to understand your inner landscape with profound clarity, to recognize the precise sources of your thoughts, your fluctuating emotions, and your automatic reactions, rather than being passively driven by them. Imagine diligently clearing away years of tangled vines, accumulated debris, and overgrown weeds in a long-forgotten, neglected garden. Only then, after such dedicated effort, can you truly see the fertile ground that lies beneath and discern what can genuinely, healthily flourish and grow there. This fundamental quest for deep self-knowledge is foundational. For without truly knowing yourself, how can you genuinely live virtuously, make wise decisions, or find lasting liberation from the cycle of suffering and dissatisfaction? It's quite analogous to trying to navigate a dense, unfamiliar jungle without a reliable map or a compass. You'll undoubtedly stumble endlessly, getting lost repeatedly, without a clear understanding of your own precise position or your intended direction, making any progress almost impossible. For the ancient Stoics, self-discovery was intrinsically and inextricably linked with living a deeply rational and harmonious life. They firmly believed that every human being possesses a divine spark of the universal logos, universal reason, and that true human flourishing, eudaimonia, involved profoundly understanding and actively aligning their inner rationality with this cosmic principle. This demanding pursuit meant engaging in rigorous daily self-examination, diligently identifying and challenging irrational judgments, learning to skillfully overcome disruptive passions, which they defined as excessive or uncontrolled emotions that distorted reason, and clearly discerning what was genuinely within their direct control versus what was external and therefore beyond their power. Their daily philosophical practice often involved systematic journaling, reflecting on their actions and thoughts at the end of each day, and mentally rehearsing how they would apply their virtues to future challenges and potential adversities. This continuous, disciplined process of introspection allowed them to constantly refine their character, strengthen their moral fiber, and solidify their inner citadel against any external disturbances, making their peace unshakable. It was a relentless and lifelong pursuit of self-mastery, understanding their own predispositions, biases, and weaknesses, and diligently working to temper them with the unwavering guidance of reason and profound wisdom, ultimately leading to a remarkable degree of self-awareness and inner fortitude that remained unyielding through all of life's unpredictable trials and tribulations. Within the expansive and deeply contemplative framework of samsara, particularly in the introspective traditions like Buddhism, the journey of self-discovery takes on an even more radical and transformative dimension through core concepts like anatta, often translated as non-self or no soul, and the profound exploration of the very nature of consciousness itself. Here, the quest is not just about understanding your superficial personality traits, your psychological makeup, or your individual preferences. Instead, it involves a deep, systematic, and often challenging investigation into the very nature of what you conventionally perceive as self or I, and realizing its inherent impermanent, interdependent, and ultimately insubstantial nature. This profound insight, often gained through direct meditative experience, dismantles the deeply ingrained illusion of a fixed, separate, and autonomous ego, which is seen as a primary and pervasive source of all clinging, attachment, and subsequent suffering. Through diligent practices like mindfulness meditation and focused self-observation, practitioners meticulously observe the fleeting, transient nature of thoughts, emotions, physical sensations, and mental formations, leading to a direct, experiential understanding that there is no permanent, unchanging, independently existing self or entity to grasp onto or defend. This realization, far from being nihilistic or disempowering, is profoundly liberating, freeing one from the immense burden and ceaseless effort of defending, maintaining, and perpetuating an illusory, rigid self-identity. A profoundly compelling historical example of a deep and transformative process of self-discovery comes from the iconic life of Socrates, whose famous dictum, "Know thyself," gnothy souten, inscribed at the Oracle of Delphi, became a cornerstone of Western philosophy and profoundly influenced later Stoic thought. Socrates spent his entire adult life engaging citizens in Athens in relentless, incisive, and often uncomfortable questioning, forcing them to critically examine their deeply held beliefs, their fundamental values, and their unexamined assumptions about life, virtue, and knowledge. His method, known as Socratic irony, often exposed their underlying lack of genuine knowledge and intellectual humility. He firmly believed that the unexamined life was not worth living, and that true wisdom began with humbly acknowledging one's own ignorance rather than pretending to know what one did not. His relentless method of constant inquiry, critical self-reflection, and intellectual honesty paved the way for subsequent philosophical traditions, including Stoicism, to emphasize internal examination as the primary path to ethical living, profound truth, and inner peace. A fascinating, yet lesser-known fact about Socrates is that he himself claimed to hear a distinct divine inner voice, his daimonion, which consistently guided him away from wrong actions or ill-advised decisions, though it never explicitly told him what specific actions to take. Historians still actively debate the precise metaphysical nature of this mysterious voice and its profound influence on his unique philosophical method, but his relentless pursuit of self-knowledge through unceasing questioning remains an iconic and inspiring model for introspection. So, as you continue to relax deeply and settle into the quiet, enveloping stillness of this tranquil moment, perhaps nestled comfortably in your bed, allow yourself to gently yet honestly contemplate your own ongoing journey of self-discovery. What are the unspoken beliefs, the unconscious patterns, or the deeply ingrained habits that subtly yet powerfully shape your reactions to the world and influence your daily choices? Are you truly living in genuine alignment with your deepest, most authentic values, or are you perhaps being swayed and pulled by external expectations, fleeting desires, and pervasive societal pressures that may not serve your highest good. This gentle inquiry is not about trying to find or construct a static, perfect self to rigidly cling to, for that too would be another form of attachment. Instead, it is about understanding the dynamic, ever-changing, and interconnected nature of your inner being and learning to navigate it with progressively greater wisdom, profound compassion, and unwavering clarity. By actively engaging in this continuous, lifelong process of self-discovery, a transformative journey profoundly shared and illuminated by both Stoic philosophers and the deeply introspective traditions of Samsara, you begin to cultivate an authentic inner freedom, a crystal-clear clarity of purpose, and a deep, abiding peace that flows naturally and effortlessly from truly knowing yourself, enabling you to live a life of unwavering integrity, genuine fulfillment, and ultimate liberation from the subtle chains of ignorance and false identity, embracing the fluid, ever-unfolding reality of who you truly are. Having profoundly delved into the transformative journey of self-discovery, peeling back the layers of external conditioning to reveal your authentic core, you are now perfectly poised to explore another critically vital aspect illuminated by both the practical philosophy of Stoicism and the timeless wisdom of Samsara, the indispensable cultivation of inner tranquility amidst chaos. Life, by its very inherent nature, is often relentlessly unpredictable, filled with a ceaseless stream of unexpected challenges, external pressures, and moments of profound, unsettling uncertainty. It can frequently feel like being caught helplessly in the swirling eye of a tempestuous storm, with fierce winds of anxiety and towering waves of distress threatening to capsize your precious inner peace and sense of stability. Yet both ancient philosophies, with their deep insights into the human condition, teach a consistent truth. True and lasting serenity is not found in the unrealistic absence of turmoil or difficulty, but rather in the cultivated ability to remain profoundly calm, centered and unperturbed regardless of the turbulent external conditions that rage around you. Imagine a deep, vast ocean. Its surface may be violently tempestuous, churned by powerful gales, but its profound depths remain perfectly still, undisturbed and utterly serene, a vast, inexhaustible reservoir of quiet and unwavering stillness. Your own inner being holds this very same immense potential for unshakable stillness, a calm, clear eye at the very center of any storm, if you know precisely how to access and cultivate it through diligent practice. For the ancient Stoics, whose lives were often marked by significant societal upheavals and personal misfortunes, achieving and maintaining inner tranquility was the ultimate paramount goal of their philosophical practice. They sought a state they termed ataraxia, meaning freedom from disturbance or unperturbedness, or apatheia, meaning freedom from harmful passions or excessive, irrational emotions. They diligently practiced distinguishing, with unwavering clarity, between what was genuinely within their direct control, their judgments, their reactions, their virtuous choices, and what was fundamentally beyond their control, all external events, circumstances, and the actions of others. By consciously and solely focusing all their energy on perfecting their internal responses and cultivating virtue, they could remarkably maintain their composure, their rational mind, and their inner calm even in the face of grave misfortunes, devastating plagues, political upheavals, or profound personal losses. They understood with deep conviction that external chaos, however violent or pervasive, could not touch their inner reason, their moral character, or their fundamental well-being unless they themselves, through their own irrational judgments, allowed it to. This active and continuous cultivation of inner discipline, mental fortitude, and rational control meant they were profoundly prepared for anything life might throw at them, systematically transforming potential suffering and obstacles into invaluable opportunities for practicing deeper resilience, cultivating greater wisdom, and strengthening their character. Within the vast, intricate, and deeply introspective framework of samsara, particularly within various meditative traditions like Buddhism, cultivating profound inner tranquility amidst external chaos is not just important, but absolutely paramount and central to the spiritual path. The very fundamental purpose of practices like mindfulness meditation and dedicated sitting practice is precisely to train the mind to observe the ceaseless arising and passing away of thoughts, emotions, physical sensations, and all external phenomena without becoming entangled, ensnared, or utterly overwhelmed by them. This disciplined observation leads progressively to a state of profound equanimity, upekkha, where the mind remains perfectly balanced, undisturbed, and serene, even when confronted with intensely pleasant or deeply unpleasant experiences. The Buddha wisely taught that all suffering arises from craving, tanha, and aversion, dosa, our innate desires for things to be other than they are, or our strong resistance to what is present. By observing these powerful mental states without clinging to the pleasant or pushing away the unpleasant, one systematically lessens their pervasive power to disrupt inner peace and pull one into a cycle of reactivity. This practice thereby creates a formidable mental refuge, a quiet, unshakable sanctuary that exists independently of all external circumstances, providing an inner haven. A profoundly powerful and historically compelling example of achieving remarkable inner tranquility amidst extreme chaos comes from the extraordinary life of Marcus Aurelius, the revered Roman emperor whose lengthy reign was relentlessly plagued by continuous, devastating wars on multiple frontiers, a catastrophic pandemic that decimated the population, and constant political conspiracies. Despite these immense, soul-crushing external pressures and responsibilities, his personal philosophical journal, the Meditations, reveals a mind constantly striving for, and often achieving, profound and unshakable inner calm and rational composure. He repeatedly reminded himself, through his deeply personal reflections, to focus solely on his own virtuous actions and rational judgments, to humbly accept what was truly beyond his direct control, and to wisely view all obstacles and adversities, not as hindrances, but as invaluable opportunities for practicing virtue, patience, and resilience. His remarkable ability to maintain composure, to lead a vast empire effectively, and to write profound philosophical reflections amidst such turmoil and personal suffering is a timeless testament to the profound effectiveness of his daily Stoic practice. A fascinating, yet lesser-known fact about Marcus Aurelius is that he often engaged in physically demanding exercises and austere living practices, seeing them as a vital way to temper the body and strengthen the mind, meticulously preparing it for rigorous intellectual thought, demanding leadership and emotional fortitude. So, as you continue to relax deeply and settle into the quiet, enveloping stillness of this tranquil moment, perhaps nestled comfortably in your bed, allow yourself to gently yet honestly contemplate the profound and indispensable cultivation of inner tranquility amidst the inevitable chaos of your own life. When you encounter unexpected challenges, feel overwhelmed by external pressures, or face moments of intense uncertainty, where does your mind typically go? Do you find yourself being helplessly swept away by the storm of emotions, losing your footing, or can you consciously access a deeper, quieter place within yourself, a sanctuary of calm and reason? This gentle, non-judgmental inquiry is emphatically not about eradicating all difficulties or suppressing your natural human emotions. Instead, it is profoundly about learning to skillfully navigate them with a steady, peaceful mind. By actively practicing the timeless principles of acceptance, discerning what is within your control, and cultivating mindful observation of your internal states, wisdom beautifully shared and illuminated by both Stoic philosophy and the profound meditative traditions of Samsara, you begin to cultivate an unshakable inner resilience and a deep wellspring of peace. You come to realize that true peace is not precariously dependent on a perfect, problem-free external world, but is an internal state, a calm and accessible sanctuary that you can cultivate and access at any time, allowing you to move through life with greater equanimity, profound wisdom, and an enduring sense of quiet strength, no longer at the mercy of every passing wave of circumstance, but firmly anchored in your own inner wisdom. Having diligently cultivated inner tranquility amidst the inevitable chaos of life, you are now prepared to embrace another profoundly interconnected concept that bridges the wisdom of Stoicism and Samsara, the understanding of interconnectedness and universal benevolence. This isn't merely an abstract philosophical idea, but a lived recognition that all beings, all phenomena, and indeed the entire cosmos, are intricately linked, forming a vast, interdependent web of existence. Your actions ripple outwards, affecting others, and their existence in turn influences yours. Imagine a single thread within a magnificent tapestry. Pulling one thread affects the entire pattern. Recognizing this profound interconnectedness fosters a natural sense of empathy, compassion, and a benevolent disposition towards all. Realizing that harm to one is, in a subtle yet fundamental way, harm to all, including oneself. It's like understanding that polluting a distant river eventually impacts your own drinking water. Separation is an illusion. For the Stoics, this understanding was deeply rooted in their belief in the universal logos, a rational, organizing principle that permeated all of nature. They viewed humanity as a single, interconnected community, citizens of the cosmos. This concept, often called cosmopolitanism, emphasized their duty to act justly and benevolently towards all human beings, regardless of their origin or status. Marcus Aurelius frequently reminded himself that what is good for the beehive is good for the bee, emphasizing the interconnectedness of individual and collective well-being. Their acts of kindness and justice were not merely moral imperatives, but a rational alignment with the inherent order of the universe, fostering inner harmony and a sense of belonging to something far greater than themselves. This profound recognition of shared humanity and universal kinship was a cornerstone of their ethical framework, driving them to live lives of public service and compassionate engagement with others, understanding that true human flourishing occurs within a supportive, interconnected community. Within the vast and intricate framework of samsara, particularly in Buddhist philosophy, the concept of interconnectedness, pratya samutpada, dependent origination, is absolutely foundational. Every phenomenon, every experience, and every being arises in dependence on other causes and conditions, highlighting that nothing exists in isolation. This deep understanding naturally leads to the cultivation of boundless compassion, karuna, and loving kindness, metta, towards all sentient beings, recognizing that their suffering is intrinsically linked to one's own, and that their happiness contributes to the overall well-being of the interconnected web. The emphasis on universal compassion extends not just to humans but to all forms of life, seeing all as part of the same cyclical journey. This perspective fosters a sense of shared destiny and responsibility, where one's actions for the benefit of others simultaneously purify one's own mind and contribute to breaking the cycle of suffering for all, moving towards collective liberation. A profoundly impactful historical figure who exemplified universal benevolence was Gautama Buddha, the founder of Buddhism. His teachings were entirely centered on alleviating suffering for all beings, not just a select few. He taught the path of compassion, advocating for non-harming and extending loving kindness universally, regardless of social status, caste, or background. His radical message of equality and interconnectedness challenged the prevailing social norms of his time and offered a revolutionary vision of a harmonious society built on mutual respect and understanding. His life, marked by immense self-sacrifice and tireless teaching, demonstrated a boundless empathy, reaching out to the marginalized and suffering. A fascinating, lesser-known fact is that the Buddha initially hesitated to teach his profound insights, believing them too difficult for others to grasp. But his compassion for humanity ultimately compelled him to share the path to enlightenment. His unwavering dedication to the welfare of all beings remains an enduring beacon of universal benevolence. So, as you continue to relax deeply into the quiet stillness of this moment, perhaps nestled comfortably in your bed, allow yourself to gently yet honestly contemplate the profound interconnectedness of all existence and the transformative power of universal benevolence. How do your daily thoughts, words, and actions impact not only your immediate circle but the broader web of life? Can you perceive the subtle ways in which the well-being of others is intertwined with your own? This gentle inquiry is not about abstract philosophy, but about fostering a deeper sense of responsibility and empathy in your daily life. By actively embracing the understanding of interconnectedness and cultivating universal benevolence, a timeless wisdom profoundly shared by both Stoic philosophy and the compassionate traditions of Samsara, you begin to transcend narrow self-interest. You realize that true flourishing, lasting peace, and genuine happiness are not isolated achievements, but emerge from living in harmony with others, contributing positively to the collective good, and extending kindness and compassion to all beings, thereby creating a ripple effect of well-being that benefits the entire intricate tapestry of existence, fostering a deeper sense of unity and shared purpose in the world. Having profoundly embraced the wisdom of interconnectedness and universal benevolence, your journey now naturally leads you to the culmination of these integrated understandings, the realization of true freedom. This freedom is not an external condition, like freedom from poverty or political oppression, but an internal state, an unshakable liberation from the chains of desire, fear, and external circumstance. It's the profound sense of autonomy that comes from knowing you control your mind, your reactions, and your character, regardless of what the world throws at you. Imagine a bird soaring high above a vast landscape. It is not confined by the fences or boundaries below, but flies freely, guided by its own inherent nature. This internal liberty allows you to navigate life's challenges with equanimity, empowered by an inner peace that no external force can diminish. It's like learning to swim in a vast ocean. You're not trying to control the waves, but mastering your ability to move through them effortlessly. For the Stoics, true freedom was synonymous with living in accordance with reason and virtue. They distinguished sharply between external freedom, which was largely beyond their control, and internal freedom, which was entirely within their grasp. A person could be a slave in body but utterly free in mind, like Epictetus, who demonstrated that true slavery lies in being a slave to one's desires and passions, while true freedom lies in mastering oneself. This profound liberty meant they were immune to the whims of fortune, incapable of being harmed by external misfortunes, because their true well-being, their virtue, could never be taken away. Their freedom was an active, constant state of self-mastery, making them genuinely sovereign over their own inner world. They found liberation not in escaping difficulty, but in choosing their response to it. Within the vast and intricate framework of samsara, particularly in Buddhist thought, the concept of true freedom reaches its zenith in the attainment of nirvana, a state of ultimate liberation from suffering and the cycle of rebirth. Nirvana is described not as a place, but as a profound cessation of craving, aversion, and ignorance, leading to a state of unconditioned peace, perfect equanimity, and boundless compassion. It is the complete eradication of the causes of suffering, resulting in an unshakable freedom that transcends all worldly conditions. This liberation is achieved through wisdom, understanding reality as it is, virtue, ethical conduct, and meditation, mental cultivation. The freedom here is radical. Freedom from the very forces that bind one to existence, a profound release from all forms of psychological and existential bondage, allowing one to experience reality directly, without the distorting lens of ego or attachment. A profoundly inspiring historical figure who exemplified this ultimate freedom was Gautama Buddha himself. Despite his princely upbringing and all the material comforts of his palace life, he recognized that true freedom was not to be found in external luxuries or worldly power. He renounced his worldly life, embarked on a rigorous spiritual quest, and through deep meditation and insight, achieved enlightenment, nirvana, thereby liberating himself from suffering. His life after enlightenment was a testament to this freedom. He walked thousands of miles, taught tirelessly, and faced both praise and criticism with unwavering equanimity, never bound by external circumstances or opinions. He demonstrated that true freedom comes from within, accessible to anyone willing to undertake the journey of self-mastery and wisdom. A fascinating, lesser-known fact is that before his enlightenment, the Buddha also experimented with extreme asceticism, nearly starving himself, only to realize that true freedom lay in the middle way, avoiding extremes. So as you continue to relax deeply into the quiet stillness of this moment, perhaps nestled comfortably in your bed, allow yourself to gently, yet honestly, Contemplate the profound meaning of true freedom in your own life. Where do you feel bound by external circumstances, by the opinions of others, or by your own fears and desires? Can you begin to recognize that the ultimate chains are not those imposed from without, but those forged within your own mind through attachment and resistance? This gentle inquiry is not about escaping reality, but about transforming your relationship with it. By actively embracing the principles of self-mastery, non-attachment, and inner wisdom, a timeless path illuminated by both Stoic philosophy and the profound traditions of Samsara, you begin to unlock an unshakable sense of inner liberty. You realize that true freedom is not found in controlling the world, but in controlling yourself, in aligning your will with universal reason, and in cultivating a mind that remains serene, compassionate, and unburdened, regardless of life's unpredictable tides, leading you towards a life of profound peace, genuine purpose, and ultimate liberation. Having deeply realized the profound and liberating nature of true freedom, an inner state unburdened by external circumstances, societal pressures, or fleeting desires, you are now profoundly prepared to embrace the ultimate and most comprehensive integration of Stoic philosophical wisdom and the ancient, timeless insights of Samsara. This is the essential path of compassionate action. It's not just a theoretical understanding, but the vibrant, active embodiment of all the interconnected insights you've painstakingly gained. Understanding impermanence, gracefully embracing existence's natural flow, realizing the illusory nature of external control, cultivating unwavering inner tranquility, embodying profound virtue, undertaking self-discovery, and ultimately channeling these understandings into meaningful, impactful, and benevolent engagement with the suffering world. This represents a fundamental shift from seeking purely personal liberation to consciously and purposefully utilizing that hard-won freedom and inner strength for the profound benefit of all sentient beings. Imagine a powerful lighthouse, standing firm amidst a raging storm at sea. Its brilliant, steady light doesn't just illuminate its own robust base, but extends powerfully outward, cutting through the darkness and guiding countless ships safely through treacherous waters. Compassionate action is precisely this outward radiating light, born directly from your cultivated inner peace, profound wisdom, and selfless understanding, actively alleviating suffering wherever its illuminating rays can reach and transforming lives. For the ancient Stoics, while their initial philosophical focus often centered on cultivating personal virtue and achieving unshakable inner peace, their expansive and deeply rational understanding of the universal logos, divine reason permeating all of nature, and their radical concept of cosmopolitanism, all humans are citizens of a single universal community, naturally and inevitably, led them to a strong emphasis on duty and active service to humanity. They firmly believed that as rational beings, fundamentally interconnected with all others through the shared logos, it was their inherent moral obligation and rational imperative to actively contribute to the common good, act justly, and alleviate suffering whenever possible. This drive for benevolent action wasn't merely driven by fleeting emotions, but by a rigorous, rational understanding of their intrinsic place in the grand cosmic order and their responsibilities within it. They saw virtuous action, particularly acts of profound justice, unwavering integrity, and selfless benevolence, as the highest and most complete expression of their philosophy. Within the vast, intricate, and profoundly compassionate framework of samsara, particularly as articulated in the Mahayana Buddhist tradition, the spiritual path culminates not merely in individual enlightenment, but powerfully in the transformative ideal of the bodhisattva. A bodhisattva is an enlightened being, one who has reached the precipice of their own final nirvana, yet, out of boundless, overwhelming compassion, karuna, and universal loving-kindness, metta, they consciously choose to postpone their own ultimate entry into nirvana. Instead, they tirelessly, selflessly, and with unwavering dedication, commit themselves to working for the complete liberation and awakening of all sentient beings, remaining within the cycle of existence to guide and assist others. The ultimate goal within this tradition is not just individual enlightenment, but the collective awakening of all beings without exception. A profoundly inspiring and historically transformative figure who magnificently exemplified this boundless compassionate action was Ashoka the Great, the powerful Mauryan emperor of ancient India, reigned c. 268 to 232 BCE. After a brutal and devastating conquest of Kalinga, which caused immense bloodshed and suffering, Ashoka experienced a profound spiritual conversion to Buddhism. He then dedicated the rest of his remarkably long and influential life to ruling his vast empire, not through military might or oppressive force, but with enlightened principles of peace, justice, non-violence, ahimsa, and profound spiritual morality. He zealously propagated the Dharma, Buddhist teachings, throughout his immense kingdom, not by coercion but through moral persuasion and personal example. He famously built hospitals and rest houses for both humans and animals, promoted vegetarianism, and actively encouraged religious tolerance among all his subjects. So, as you continue to relax deeply into the quiet, enveloping stillness of this tranquil moment, perhaps nestled comfortably in your bed, allow yourself to gently, yet honestly contemplate the profound and urgent call to compassionate action in your own unique and unfolding life. This is the moment to bridge the gap between abstract philosophical understanding and concrete, tangible engagement with the world around you. How can you now effectively utilize your hard-won inner peace, your sharpened wisdom, and your liberating sense of freedom to contribute positively and meaningfully to the genuine well-being of others and to the intricate tapestry of the world that surrounds you? Think beyond grand, sweeping gestures that might seem out of reach. Is there a seemingly small act of kindness you can offer today, a sincere word of understanding you can share with someone struggling, or a moment of truly active, empathetic listening that you can provide to a friend, family member, or even a stranger? This gentle, non-judgmental inquiry is emphatically not about burdening you with an expectation of superhuman feats or monumental acts of heroism that would overwhelm you or drain your reserves. Instead, it is profoundly about subtly, yet consistently infusing your daily life with intentional benevolence, infusing every interaction with a conscious desire to alleviate suffering and foster connection. By actively and wholeheartedly embracing this profound path of compassionate action, a timeless and universal culmination of wisdom profoundly shared by both the rational rigor of Stoic philosophy and the deeply empathetic traditions of Samsara, particularly as manifested in the Bodhisattva ideal, you begin to realize a transformative truth, that true and lasting fulfillment emerges not from isolated, self-centered attainment or from hoarding inner peace solely for yourself, but intrinsically from selfless contribution and from seeing your own well-being reflected in the well-being of others. Having profoundly embraced the path of compassionate action, actively extending your inner peace and wisdom outwards for the benefit of all, your journey now reaches a point of profound integration, the realization of true wisdom in our daily life. This isn't about accumulating vast amounts of theoretical knowledge or reciting ancient texts by rote. Instead, it is the practical, lived embodiment of all the interconnected principles we have explored: impermanence, embracing life's flow, the illusion of control, finding peace in acceptance, cultivating virtue, the journey of self-discovery, inner tranquility, and compassionate action, applied seamlessly to every moment, every interaction, and every decision you make. Imagine a master craftsman who, having perfectly understood their tools and materials, works with an effortless grace, their movements precise and their creations flawless, without needing to consciously think through each step. True wisdom in daily life is this fluid, intuitive application of deep understanding, transforming ordinary moments into opportunities for enlightened living, finding meaning and purpose in every breath and every conscious choice, shaping your reality through mindful engagement. For the Stoics, the culmination of their philosophical journey was to live consistently in accordance with reason and nature, thereby achieving wisdom, Sophia or phronesis, practical wisdom. This meant not just knowing what is good, but actively doing what is good, making rational judgments in every circumstance, and maintaining inner harmony regardless of external events. They didn't retreat from the world, they engaged with it, fully, serving their communities and embracing their roles, but always from a place of inner clarity and dispassion. Every challenge became an exercise in applying their virtues, every interaction an opportunity to practice justice and benevolence. Their wisdom was profoundly practical, guiding their actions, their speech, and their very thoughts, making their lives themselves a testament to their philosophy. This practical application of wisdom allowed them to navigate life's inevitable ups and downs with remarkable grace, viewing everything as a stepping stone for growth. Within the vast and intricate framework of samsara, particularly in the path towards liberation, the realization of true wisdom, panya or prajna, is the ultimate liberating factor. It is the direct intuitive understanding of reality as it truly is, impermanence, anicca, suffering, dukkha, and non-self, anatta. This wisdom is not gained solely through intellectual study, but through direct experiential insight cultivated through meditation and mindful living. It manifests as a profound clarity that dispels ignorance, the root cause of suffering. When this wisdom is fully realized, it transforms your perception, allowing you to see the interconnectedness of all things, to act with boundless compassion, and to remain unperturbed by the world's vicissitudes. It integrates ethical conduct and mental development, culminating in a profound understanding that leads directly to the cessation of suffering and the ultimate freedom of nirvana, transcending the cycle of conditioned existence. A profoundly inspiring historical figure who exemplified this lived wisdom was Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha, after his enlightenment. His life was not merely about profound realization, but about the practical application of that wisdom in the world for 45 years. He walked tirelessly, taught without prejudice to all castes and classes, and adapted his teachings to the understanding of countless individuals, always embodying compassion and equanimity. He faced opposition, illness, and sorrow, yet his inner wisdom remained unshakable, always responding with clarity and a serene mind. His daily interactions, from accepting a simple meal from a peasant to challenging the powerful, were expressions of his enlightened understanding, living proof that true wisdom is not esoteric but fully integrated into every moment of existence, guiding every action and word. A surprising, lesser-known detail is that the Buddha encouraged his monks to travel and teach the Dharma not in Sanskrit, the elite language, but in the local vernaculars, making his wisdom accessible to everyone, demonstrating the practical and inclusive nature of his teachings, fostering understanding wherever he went. So, as you continue to relax deeply into the quiet stillness of this moment, perhaps nestled comfortably in your bed, allow yourself to gently yet honestly contemplate the realization of true wisdom in your own daily life. How can you bring deeper mindfulness, clearer insight, and compassionate action into your everyday routines, your interactions with family and colleagues, and your personal decision-making? Are you merely going through the motions, or are you actively engaging with each moment as an opportunity for growth and understanding? This gentle inquiry is not about striving for perfection, but about cultivating a consistent awareness that transforms your ordinary existence into a path of continuous enlightenment. By actively embodying this profound wisdom, a timeless culmination of principles profoundly shared by both Stoic philosophy and the deep traditions of samsara, you begin to live a life of seamless integration, where your inner peace, your ethical conduct, and your compassionate engagement with the world become one. You come to realize that the journey is not about reaching a distant destination, but about experiencing every step with profound presence, purpose, and clarity, allowing your true wisdom to shine forth, illuminating not only your own path, but also inspiring and benefiting all those around you, bringing a profound sense of harmony to the intricate tapestry of your existence and extending benevolence to the entire interconnected universe. Having deeply integrated true wisdom into your daily life, transforming every moment into an opportunity for enlightened living, you are now ready to explore a profound realization that naturally emerges from both Stoicism and Samsara, the understanding of impermanence as liberation. This isn't a bleak or pessimistic view of life. Rather, it is a liberating insight into the ever-changing, transient nature of all phenomena. Thoughts, emotions, relationships, possessions, successes, and failures. By truly comprehending that nothing lasts, you loosen your grip on attachment and fear, freeing yourself from the suffering that arises from clinging to what is destined to pass. Imagine watching a beautiful cloud formation gracefully drift across the sky. You appreciate its beauty in the moment, but you don't expect it to remain fixed or unchanging, thus avoiding disappointment when it dissipates. This radical acceptance of change allows you to live more fully in the present, unburdened by the past or anxieties about the future, finding profound freedom in the flow of existence. For the Stoics, the consistent contemplation of impermanence was a central practice for cultivating inner peace and resilience. They understood that everything external to their virtuous character, including their bodies, health, wealth, reputation, and even their loved ones, was subject to the unyielding law of change and fortune's whims. By mentally rehearsing the loss of these indifferents, a practice called premeditatio malorum, they prepared themselves to accept such changes with equanimity, realizing that true harm could only come from their own judgments and resistance, not from the external event itself. This constant awareness of impermanence freed them from attachment and allowed them to appreciate what they had in the present moment, without the fear of inevitable loss. It was a powerful tool for cultivating gratitude and non-attachment, ensuring their inner tranquility remained unassailable. Their wisdom came from embracing reality as it was, in its ever-changing form. Within the vast and intricate framework of samsara, particularly in Buddhist philosophy, impermanence, anicca, is one of the three fundamental characteristics of existence, alongside suffering, dukkha, and non-self, anatta. Understanding impermanence is paramount for liberation. Every experience, every sensation, every thought, and every physical form is seen as arising, existing for a moment, and then passing away. Clinging to anything that is impermanent inevitably leads to suffering, because that thing is destined to change or cease to be. The practice of mindfulness and meditation often involves observing the fleeting nature of all phenomena, allowing one to directly experience impermanence and thereby loosen the grip of craving and aversion. This deep insight into the transient nature of existence is not to induce despair, but to awaken a sense of urgency for spiritual practice and to foster a profound freedom from attachment, leading to nirvana. It's like building a sandcastle on the beach. You enjoy the process and the outcome, but you understand that the tide will inevitably wash it away, so you don't cling to its permanence. A profoundly impactful historical figure who exemplified this understanding of impermanence as liberation was Heraclitus, the pre-Socratic Greek philosopher, known for his famous dictum, "No man ever steps in the same river twice, for it's not the same river, and he's not the same man." Although not a Stoic, his emphasis on constant flux and change profoundly influenced later Stoic thinkers. He believed that everything was in a state of perpetual becoming, and that trying to hold on to anything was futile. While his philosophy might appear unsettling at first glance, it offered a profound freedom from the illusion of stability and permanence, encouraging a dynamic engagement with the present moment as it is. His radical acceptance of flux paved the way for philosophical traditions to view change not as something to be feared, but as the fundamental nature of reality itself. A curious, lesser-known fact is that Heraclitus was often called the weeping philosopher because of his perceived melancholic disposition, perhaps reflecting his intense awareness of life's fleeting nature. Yet his philosophy ultimately pointed towards liberation through acceptance. So, as you continue to relax deeply into the quiet stillness of this moment, perhaps nestled comfortably in your bed, allow yourself to gently yet honestly contemplate the understanding of impermanence as a source of liberation in your own life. Where might you be clinging to situations, relationships, or even ideas that are inevitably changing? Are you resisting the natural flow of transformation, thereby causing yourself unnecessary suffering and anxiety? This gentle inquiry is not about becoming indifferent to life's beauty or joys, but about cultivating a wise perspective that allows you to fully appreciate each moment without the burden of expecting it to last forever. By actively embracing the profound truth of impermanence, a timeless wisdom powerfully shared by both Stoic philosophy and the deep traditions of samsara, you begin to unlock an incredible sense of freedom and lightness. You realize that true peace and enduring happiness are not found in clinging to what is transient, but in letting go, in flowing with the ceaseless current of existence, and in finding profound contentment in the ever-present moment, unburdened by the illusions of fixedness or permanence, allowing you to live a life of greater freedom, deeper appreciation, and an unshakable inner peace that blossoms amidst the beautiful, ever-changing dance of life. Having deeply understood impermanence as a source of liberation, transforming your relationship with the transient nature of existence, you are now prepared to fully embrace the ultimate culmination of all insights gleaned from Stoicism and Samsara, the profound realization of unconditional joy and boundless compassion. This isn't a superficial happiness dependent on external circumstances, nor is it a temporary emotional high. Instead, it is a deep-seated, abiding state of inner well-being and an overflowing warmth towards all beings, born from a mind free of attachment, fear, and illusion. It's the spontaneous delight that arises when you are fully present, accepting of reality, and acting in alignment with your deepest virtues. Imagine a perfectly clear spring, its waters pure and cool, nourishing everything around it without effort. Unconditional joy is this intrinsic flow of well-being, radiating outwards, touching everything it encounters. This realization is not a destination to be reached, but a state of being to be cultivated, a continuous unveiling of the inherent goodness that resides within a mind liberated from the suffering caused by clinging to the fleeting and resisting the inevitable. It marks a profound shift from seeking happiness in external conditions to discovering it as an innate quality of a liberated mind, always accessible. For the Stoics, the ultimate outcome of living virtuously and rationally was a profound state of joy, chara, which they carefully distinguished from mere pleasure, hedon. This joy was not dependent on external fortune but arose solely from the cultivation of virtue, the alignment with reason, and the acceptance of nature's course. When they acted with wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance, they experienced a deep, unshakable satisfaction that could not be taken away by any external event. This joy was inherently intertwined with a sense of universal benevolence and a duty to humanity. While they might not have used the term compassion in the same way as Eastern traditions, their commitment to the common good, their emphasis on civic duty, and their understanding of humanity as a single community, cosmopolitanism, clearly expressed a profound care for others' well-being. Their philosophy led them to live lives that were not just personally tranquil, but actively beneficial to society, demonstrating that true happiness is found in living a life of purpose and positive contribution. This deep sense of belonging to the cosmos and acting in its service was a wellspring of their inner contentment. Within the vast and intricate framework of samsara, particularly in the advanced stages of Buddhist practice, the realization of unconditional joy and boundless compassion is the natural and inevitable fruit of liberation. As the mind is purified of craving, aversion, and ignorance, it reveals its inherent radiant nature, which is characterized by profound joy, mudita, sympathetic joy, and boundless compassion, karuna. This is not an emotional state, but a fundamental quality of an enlightened mind, a spontaneous overflowing of warmth and empathy for all sentient beings, coupled with the wisdom to alleviate suffering effectively. The bodhisattva ideal, as explored earlier, is the ultimate embodiment of this, where an enlightened being chooses to remain in the cycle of existence out of immense compassion for others. The joy arises from the cessation of suffering for oneself, and compassion arises from seeing the suffering of others and recognizing their inherent Buddha nature. This realization transforms one's entire being into a source of positive influence, actively working towards the collective awakening and well-being of all, transcending narrow self-interest entirely and extending care universally. A profoundly impactful historical figure who powerfully exemplified both unconditional joy and boundless compassion was Mahatma Gandhi, whose philosophy of ahimsa, nonviolence, and satyagraha, truth force, led India to independence. While not directly a Stoic or Buddhist in traditional terms, his life embodied the practical application of these integrated principles. He faced immense suffering, imprisonment, and personal hardship with extraordinary inner peace and an unshakable spirit. always driven by a profound compassion for his fellow human beings and a deep commitment to justice. His experiments with truth were a daily practice of self-mastery, detachment from outcomes, and unwavering adherence to his core values, bringing about radical social change through nonviolent means. His life demonstrated that profound joy and compassion are not luxuries for times of peace, but powerful forces that can be cultivated and wielded even in the face of extreme adversity, transforming personal suffering into universal benefit. A fascinating, lesser-known aspect of Gandhi's approach was his emphasis on simple living and self-sufficiency, spinning his own cloth, which he saw as integral to both his personal liberation and his compassionate activism, showing how inner practice and external action were inextricably linked in his philosophy. So, as you continue to relax deeply into the quiet stillness of this moment, perhaps nestled comfortably in your bed, allow yourself to gently yet honestly contemplate the profound realization of unconditional joy and boundless compassion within your own being. Can you sense the inherent wellspring of peace that lies beneath the surface of your thoughts and emotions, waiting to be fully accessed? How might extending genuine warmth and understanding to others, even those you find challenging, deepen your own sense of inner contentment? This gentle inquiry is not about forcing emotions, but about cultivating a mind that naturally gravitates towards kindness, empathy, and joy, free from the constraints of fear or attachment. By actively embodying these ultimate realizations, a timeless culmination of wisdom profoundly shared by both Stoic philosophy and the deep traditions of Samsara, you begin to live a life that transcends mere existence, becoming a radiant source of positive influence. You come to realize that the journey towards liberation is not a solitary one, but a collective unfolding, where your personal peace fuels your capacity to alleviate the suffering of others, and their well-being, in turn, amplifies your own profound sense of joy, bringing a complete sense of harmony and profound spiritual fulfillment to the intricate tapestry of your existence, radiating a benevolence that encompasses the entire universe. This final integration truly marks the point where personal transformation meets universal purpose, culminating in a life lived in boundless peace and active contribution to the well-being of all, embodying the highest aspirations of human potential. Having fully realized the profound truth of unconditional joy and boundless compassion, integrating these qualities into the very fabric of your being, you are now invited to contemplate the continuous lifelong journey of practice and refinement. This understanding acknowledges that while moments of profound insight and liberation are transformative, the path of wisdom is not a singular event, but an ongoing process of conscious effort, persistent self-awareness, and compassionate engagement with the world. It's about consistently applying the principles we've explored: impermanence, acceptance, virtue, self-discovery, inner tranquility, and compassionate action in every moment of your daily existence, whether in times of ease or challenge. Imagine a musician dedicating their life to their craft. They don't simply learn a piece once and stop, but continually practice, refine their technique, and explore new depths of expression. Similarly, spiritual and philosophical growth is a dynamic, evolving process, requiring sustained effort and a willingness to continually learn, adapt, and refine your understanding and application of these profound truths. This continuous refinement is where true mastery lies, turning abstract concepts into lived reality and solidifying the gains made on your inner journey, transforming casual awareness into profound, unwavering wisdom that informs every breath and action, making enlightenment not a distant goal but a present, lived experience. For the Stoics, the philosophical life was fundamentally a daily practice, ascesis, and a continuous process of self-improvement. They didn't view wisdom as a static achievement but as an ongoing pursuit, requiring constant vigilance over their judgments, reactions, and desires. Their daily exercises included journaling, like Marcus Aurelius's Meditations, premeditation, of evils, premeditatio malorum, to prepare for adversity, and challenging their irrational thoughts. They believed that consistent, deliberate effort was necessary to transform philosophical theory into lived reality, to build mental resilience, and to internalize virtues so deeply that they became second nature. This dedication to constant refinement ensured that their inner citadel remained strong and their tranquility unshakable, even in the face of relentless external pressures and temptations. The Stoic path was therefore one of relentless self-discipline, a lifelong commitment to perfecting one's character and aligning with reason, understanding that true mastery comes through diligent and persistent application, never resting on past laurels but always seeking further refinement and deeper understanding of themselves and the world around them, ensuring that their virtue was not merely intellectual but deeply embodied. Within the vast and intricate framework of samsara, particularly in Buddhist traditions, the path to liberation is unequivocally described as a continuous practice and a gradual process of purification and refinement, often spanning many lifetimes. Concepts like the Noble Eightfold Path, right understanding, right thought, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration, explicitly outline a systematic and ongoing training of mind, speech, and body. It's acknowledged that deep-seated defilements like greed, hatred, and ignorance require consistent effort to uproot. Meditation is a daily discipline, not a one-time event, aimed at continuously refining mindfulness, concentration, and wisdom. Even after significant insights, the journey continues, involving further purification and deepening of understanding until the ultimate cessation of suffering, nirvana, is achieved. This emphasis on continuous practice and refinement underscores the reality that transformation is a process, not an instant state, requiring profound patience, perseverance, and unwavering dedication to the path, recognizing that every moment offers an opportunity to cultivate wholesome qualities and let go of unwholesome ones, thereby gradually perfecting the mind and paving the way for complete liberation from the cycles of conditioned existence and fostering a boundless compassion that becomes truly spontaneous and effortless in its expression. A profoundly impactful historical figure who exemplified this continuous practice and refinement was Thich Nhat Hanh, a Vietnamese Zen Buddhist monk, peace activist, and prolific writer. Throughout his long life, even after achieving significant spiritual insight and gaining international recognition, he continuously practiced mindfulness, compassion, and engaged actively in peace work. He emphasized that mindfulness is a way of life, and that true peace comes from integrating spiritual practice into every single aspect of daily existence, from washing dishes to walking. His work and teachings constantly evolved, adapting to contemporary challenges, yet always rooted in the core principles of the Dharma. He demonstrated that refinement is not about becoming perfect, but about continuous awakening, compassionate engagement, and embodying wisdom with every breath. He continued to write, teach, and inspire millions globally, even in his final years, offering a living testament to the ongoing nature of spiritual practice and refinement. A surprising, lesser-known detail about Thich Nhat Hanh was his deep engagement with ecological issues, long before they became mainstream, seeing environmental destruction as a direct consequence of a lack of mindfulness and interconnectedness, extending his compassionate practice to the entire planet. So, as you continue to relax deeply into the quiet stillness of this moment, perhaps nestled comfortably in your bed, allow yourself to gently, yet honestly contemplate the continuous journey of practice and refinement in your own life. Where can you commit to consistently applying the principles of wisdom, compassion, and self-awareness? Are there specific areas where you find yourself slipping back into old patterns, requiring renewed effort and mindful attention? This gentle inquiry is not about burdening you with endless striving, but about empowering you with the understanding that growth is a lifelong process, filled with opportunities for deeper learning and greater integration. By actively embracing this path of continuous practice and refinement, a timeless wisdom profoundly shared by both Stoic philosophy and the deep traditions of samsara, you begin to live a life of ever-increasing clarity, resilience, and boundless compassion. You come to realize that the journey of liberation is an endless unfolding, where every moment, whether easy or challenging, becomes a precious opportunity to deepen your understanding, refine your character, and extend your benevolence, allowing your true wisdom to shine ever brighter, bringing lasting peace and profound meaning to your existence and inspiring all those you encounter on this shared, beautiful path of conscious living. This continuous refinement fosters a profound humility, acknowledging that there is always more to learn and more wisdom to embody. End of script. Sweet dreams.